like to call the meeting to order.
I open the door. If it gets cold, just shut it. But it's
Sure.
pretty hot.
If you're having difficulty hearing any of us, please let us know. We have mics, but they might be intermittently working. So we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Caroline, could you do a roll call so we establish that we have a quorum for the record, please?
Chairperson Janet Flynn.
Here.
Earl Toussaint.
Present.
Kate Stevens.
Here.
Greg Parker.
And Mike Smith is probably not going to make it. He was at something else and might be delayed. We have the minutes from I should state that this is the regular monthly meeting for March 2026, March 18th. We have the meeting minutes from the February 18th meeting to review. Under new business 2602, 2/3 of the way down where it says seeker was reviewed, I would like to add as the project or with the project as a type 1 action. And I can give you this note for, and then a couple sentences later, public hearing was opened, residents asked questions, voiced concerns. The public hearing was, I think the word we used, suspended or adjourned to the next meeting. And on the last one, 2604, regarding the parking requirements for 212 West Main Street. Suggest the next three sentences from the bottom, suggest the parking space requirement be passed to the village board for discussion. I would like that to be clarified as required by the zoning law. It's not just a suggestion, but
Do we know if there's been a response from
Yeah.
the village board?
we'll get to that. Any other comments, revisions? What do you think about the minutes?
I'm here.
Earl?
I move to accept the minutes.
Before you do that, please. I haven't read the minutes, but they were read to me. The minutes seem to suggest that there was a vote taken at the last meeting, that 3 people were for proposal and no abstention. The vote means that some people,
That wasn't the case. I think we should probably clarify what we voted on. We didn't vote on approving the application.
There's something in the
and something in the minute
That
that
we read
indicated
online.
that there was a vote taken.
Okay, we'll take a look. Sometimes we take a vote or we all take a vote on the environmental review, the seeker review. And then we take a vote on actions like adjourning the hearing and then on approving or tabling. So I'm not sure which one you might be
It
referring
doesn't
to.
indicate anything like that. Just is online that a vote was taken.
On the proposed,
Minutes that we read last
on
night
the,
on the website last night.
proposal to establish those 3 residential plots.
No, I thought we voted, just a second. We voted on whether we had a complete application. And then we voted on whether it had any adverse impact on the environment.
Right. And we didn't, and we said, we did not vote on the complete application because it wasn't.
Oh, that's right.
We didn't, we were still waiting for information. Well, I'm not sure what you saw online.
I just read last night. I'm not, it didn't indicate, so I
Right.
wasn't at the meeting.
Okay,
I
well-
asked my son, I thought you didn't vote.
You have, Caroline posted the draft minutes. I don't see anything on here where one abstained and,
Manning, I'll just.
well, I would like to continue, and if you come up with what you're, okay, so Merle made a motion to approve and Craig seconded it. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The board also has the March report to the village board submitted, and Merle, you asked whether the village board reviewed and took action on the parking pertaining to 212 West Main. And yes, the board reviewed our recommendation and approved the request for the waiver. And the request is included in the report to the village board. Okay, first item on the agenda is 2602 Shaw Harbor LLC. And before we get started, I just want to say I think most of you are here this evening to listen to comments about this project and perhaps voice your opinion. And I think it's great you're here. And public participation is key to what makes this community tick. And whether you agree or disagree with something somebody is saying, I encourage you or remind you to be respectful of that. And I intend to have this meeting run in an orderly fashion that's civil conversations. And with that said, I'd like to begin. Some of you were here last month and some were not, so it's worth having a little overview. This application concerns a 3-acre parcel on General Smith Drive. And the request is to subdivide it into 3 residential lots, keeping a 4th lot as the main parcel, which contains the residence. In February, the planning board discussed and completed the state environmental review, which is a required step of a process, and determined that there would not be a significant adverse impact on the environment. With some deliberation about that, we held a public hearing and we adjourned it because there were questions remaining. So that's what we will pick up with this evening. And we adjourned the discussion of the application to this evening. There were a number of questions that we felt were important to answer. And that's what has taken some time during the last few weeks to try to get to the bottom of that. One is to verify that we proceeded correctly with the state environmental review process. And based on conversations with our attorney, I feel confident that we did. And like some aspects of this, that decision itself has a degree of being subjective. And being a state requirement, you would think there's a lot of detail, and there is, but it's not black and white always. And there's no numeric scale that in many situations that says if it's this, then it's that. There leaves a lot to be interpreted. Another question was, is there a deed restriction on the property that would prohibit this or other subdivisions? And we asked the applicant to provide an abstract of the deed thick document and there is no restriction pertaining to that. There are restrictions on the property, but not pertaining to subdivision. And then I guess the other thing is how the interpretation of the village zoning and subdivision law applies to this set of circumstances. We do have a historic overlay district that controls a number of actions within the parts of the community that are defined as being part of the historic overlay district. This property is also on the National Register or in the National Register district. Those two conditions are identified as important to this action or this application. And those were questions that I put forth to our village attorney. And like other things, it kind of turns into a legal, technical discussion. So let's see. All right, so to go through the list of a little more details, there are no deed restrictions. The lots as requested comply with the size and area requirements of the zoning law. And that's one of the main decisions in whether a subdivision is acceptable to the community or not. As a technical legal action, this is a minor subdivision being 3 lots, and it doesn't involve any physical alteration to the site. And by that, there are subdivisions in the community more in the last few months. For example, this board has discussed the Harbor Haven subdivision. That involved construction of water, sewer, roads, stormwater, natural gas, electric, some deed or some easement, and construction of homes. That's a much different set of circumstances than creating lots on a parcel without any development. Not to say development couldn't or won't happen, but the action this board is bound to evaluate is the request to create 3 residential lots in addition to the remaining lot with the historic home on it. As the zoning law is written, it's apparent that the subdivision as proposed complies with the zoning. And the fact that houses could be built on that is not what we are supposed to be evaluating. And it seems contrary to logic to most of us or to many people that, well, if you make the lots, somebody can buy them and somebody can build a house. Technically, in terms of the seeker environmental law and in terms of what this board is looking at, we're looking at creating lines on a paper that would create lots that could be sold. And no physical alteration to the site, no new roads, no new water, no new sewer, no new electricity, no natural gas lines, and so forth. Other information that has come to the board that enters into this discussion, I think, is I learned from the previous owner of the property, George Smith, that the parcel as it is now is not what it was originally. It's larger than the original Camp Manor parcel. In the hallway coming into the room, there's a map, 18 something or other, and it shows streets and proposed streets and structures at the time of the map. And I meant to check the date, but anyway, it's an old map. And it shows houses that existed at that time. For those of you that are familiar with the neighborhood, and I assume most of you are because you're here, next door to the Nan house, apparently there used to be a barn. And further on down toward General Smith, there was another structure. And apparently that structure was later moved across the street onto what was Ogden Street, which is now General Smith. From the Deer Line House down toward General Smith, there was another structure, a one-story building that I think was a residence. And that was later moved across the street and became the first floor, which then had a second floor added to and is now a blue-gray house across from where one of the Hamilton Street lot would be. So I guess the point of that, adding that is just for general knowledge, that concern about the integrity of the historic site. The site we see today is not the original Camp Manor site, not to say it's not worthwhile as a larger site. I'm just citing the historical path, and that was brought to my attention by the previous owner. The English gardens that have been mentioned in a number of the comments were on the back side of the property where the two, or where a portion of which would be the two proposed lots on Broad Street. Another important piece of info is at our meeting, the applicant's representative mentioned a possible parking lot on General Smith Drive, perhaps associated with this. And I need to make it very clear that that is not part of this subdivision. It is not on the map identifying where 3 residential lots would be. That is not under the review of this board. That would be something the village board would discuss and determine, arrange, and all of that. So it has been mentioned in a number of emails or letters and comments, but it's important to know that it's not on the subdivision plan. We have no control over that. That is something the village board would be dealing with if it's to come to fruition. With that said, your opinion is important. I'm not dismissing that. Okay, if you have an opinion, whether there should be, shouldn't be, how big, what it looks like, that's very important. And from what I've learned through this discussion about it, it wasn't the intention of that comment, and the discussion that may have happened was not intended to create a parking lot, but rather parking spaces. Now, again, kind of a subjective description. What's a parking lot versus parking spaces? Size, magnitude, scale, material, all that's important. Okay. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not dismissing your concern about that, or I don't disregard whether you would support it because you like to go there and fish, or you don't want it there because it's a residential neighborhood. That discussion should occur, but not this evening with this board. I often try to seek some form of mitigation or compromise. And in talking to the village attorney about this, I was looking for a legal avenue to say, what could we do that meets in the middle with this? If we wanted to reduce the number of lots, or say, okay, these 3 lots as requested are approved, but limit future subdivisions or limit further construction on the site in the front yard. As I view it from General Smith, if the lots are created and if houses are built from General Smith, you still have a view of a grand home on a large lot. From Camp Lane and Hamilton, from the side, you would still have a view up to a point to the rear of the house. So my thought was, could we attach a condition to restrict development? And the answer to that is no. And the terminology for that, I understand, is called inverse condemnation, because we'd be taking away the right, somebody's property rights to develop property they are legally allowed to develop. But there would be nothing wrong with reaching out to the applicant and saying, hey, you are aware of the public opposition to your proposal. How about this? Well, I tried that. And the applicant said that there's no interest in doing anything further, but he has no interest in limiting it for future owners. And so at that point, I said, well, thank you very much. I'll see you at the meeting. So anyway, I wanted to be very open with you and tell you what we've done and some of the research put into it thus far. And before we open the public hearing for additional comment, the applicant's representative is here. I would like to give you an opportunity to address the board, address the residents, maybe elaborate a little further. Perhaps something has changed in the application.
Yeah, I'm Steve Gracie with the Bay White Magazine. And nothing has changed to my knowledge with the application. I can say I know it's not part tonight, but I have no further communication on parking either. I don't know where that, maybe that's going away or what's going on with that. But he wants to continue with the 3-lot residential subdivision as we presented it.
Thank you. Board, any questions at this point of what I've rambled on about before we turn to the public?
Is Steve the only representative from the property that's here tonight? Are you the only representative from the applicant?
Yes.
All right.
I don't think he's in town.
So the question was, is he the only representative for the applicant? And the answer is yes.
I'm gonna wait until after the public hearing.
Pardon me?
I'll wait until after the.
Okay, okay. I do have a little summary of some of the questions that have been asked, and I would like to share those with you. And we have a petition, and I would like to share that, but I think you've heard enough of me for a while. So let's resume the public hearing. I'd like to remind you that it's an opportunity to make a comment to the board. We'd like to have a 3-minute limit because there's a lot of people. If everybody wants to speak, and we have other applications to review, but I want you to have a chance to express your views. So please state your name when you want to address.
Somebody had to be first.
And yeah, I agree that, you know, not having an attorney, not being an attorney, I don't know if any of these comments hold any weight, but they're my opinion. So
That's great.
first one is like, the thing when this happened and I got the certified letter from the village, I was actually really disappointed to find out that I didn't have an actual neighbor, that a corporation owned property and a developer at that. And they don't really live there. So I was under the delusion that we had neighbors. And now I know I'm disappointed about that. The second thing I wanted to talk about is like the site plan review, as you pointed out, is only for subdividing the lot. So it's light in detail, right? So then a much more detailed one will have to be submitted when somebody goes to build those lots. And whoever they are, whether they're going to have a pretty big task in front of them. It's kind of a buyer beware thing. They've subdivided it, but whoever builds on it is going to have to deal with all of this again. But who knows if the zoning laws will change by then. Anyway, I'm worried about that. So, and I was aware that at one time the property was a different size, but the property did include the 3 lots on water. And so it was subdivided before. And so now it's being subdivided again. And I was curious to know if that meant this is actually a major subdivision. It's the second subdivision of that property. And then the last, I wanted to say it's obvious the character of the village is going to change when the houses are built. You already explained it. We're not talking about that. And then the last thing I want to point out is, did the village approach Shaw Harbor about parking because of a need the village has? Or did Shaw Harbor offer something of value to the village unsolicited for some reason? And then that's my comments. Thank you.
I'm debating whether to respond, but if I wait, I'll forget. So, you're correct. Site plan review is a much more detailed process. And I'm sure you have scoured that subdivision law in detail. And for those of you that haven't, applicants need to describe materials, colors, building design, where on the site, where in the lot, grade, all sorts of things that are definitely part of character, aesthetics, so much to the point that we are often criticized for that. So yes, that's a more detailed process. Zoning law, could it change? Absolutely. In fact, it could flip it the other way. These petitions with numerous signatures indicate to us how upset you are, but based on what I've been told by our attorney, we're looking at lines at a map tonight. What's next? Should those lots sell? And they might not sell, or you 3 could buy one and never do anything with them and pay the taxes on a building lot. And then nothing had happened. So I'm just saying, yes, there are lines on a lot, on a paper, that open the door to construction, but it's not a foregone conclusion that that will happen. But what these petitions do indicate is a certain amount of our population supports protecting our historic resources. And maybe this gives an indication about, is there anything in our zoning law we need or would desire to change to make more protective of certain resources or more protective of the historic overlay district or whatever. So for those of you that put in a tremendous amount of effort to create this and go around and get signatures, I don't think it's wasted. And maybe your job isn't done. If you feel unsatisfied by this process, well, this is not the legislative board. The legislative board was in here at 5 o'clock. Okay. And I'm not saying you should do one thing or another, but I'm hearing your concern and just reminding you there's lots of parts of this process. Regarding the previous subdivision, with the waterfront lots,
Excuse me.
I don't know if they were all part of the same parcel at one time, but that really doesn't matter. In New York, communities can limit how many subdivisions, and there's a law with, I think it's New York State Health Department, that controls how many lots that are under 5 acres within, like, you can't have more than 5 lots that are under 5 acres in 3 years. I think, oh, you're nodding, is that right? Okay, that's pulling it out of the dark past here. But communities can do more than that. Our community and our zoning law doesn't do that. So there's nothing that says in our law that Shaw Harbor or anybody else can do 3 lots now and in 4 more years do another 2. Okay,
It goes by the sale date.
pardon me?
It goes by the sale date, not the master. Or the-
Okay, right. But the idea is, there's some choice there in New York State planning law. And this village doesn't have hasn't established any control in that.
Yeah, I got one question, maybe.
Well, wait, hold on a second. So I think that's the end of my response to Dave.
He
Okay,
asked about the parking,
about the what?
parking. He asked a specific question.
What
about
was
the
your parking question? I knew I'd forget.
Well, did the village approach Harbor?
right.
Or did Shaw
Right.
Harbor offer something?
I don't know how that went. I know the village was involved with an extensive process for a couple years involving grant funds and the reconstruction of the waterfront, the docks from the 2 years of 2017 and 2019 high water. And in conjunction with that were other improvements by the water treatment plant, by the road in that neighborhood. I forget what the road's called, something Shore Road. And then the park, Robinson Hill. And throughout that process, I know there were discussions, what kind of a park? Should it be a kayak launch? Should there be this or that? And I remember thinking, I have a kayak. I'm not carrying my kayak up and down that hill. I'll go downtown and use the boat launch there. But anyway, so I don't know where a conversation occurred and with whom. I know what Stephen said last month. I was at the village board meeting this past week and there was some discussion of it, but I don't know when or how or whatever. And I'd actually rather not know right now. I just know it's not part of our realm.
Sarah, you were on the board. I believe Alex stated that he approached. Shawn Mack.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked.
Parking.
I don't know who approached whom.
Well, no, he talked about it quite a bit. And he said he approached him about subdividing a lot out for parking. I don't know if that's the terminology used, but then he also mentioned that the owner said, well, they could grant him an easement. And he
Right.
had no problem granting him an easement. I believe that's what Alex's response was.
Yeah, but really, I mean, that's again for, that's another topic. Okay,
I don't think it's another topic.
well, no, it is
Let me express my opinion on it.
great.
This whole thing, number one, we got a commercial company now owning this historic land. Now, I don't know what our position in it, I don't know what the attorney said, but to me, this whole process has misled the neighbors. We thought somebody was buying that property and was going to live there. Now we don't know, are they going to make it a museum? What are they going to do with it? And now they want to subdivide 3 lots, possibly give an easement to the village for parking, and then possibly subdividing 3 more lots. Because I heard that rumor also. So I think that's important to take this all into consideration when we're considering the subdivision of these 3 lots.
It is, those are all good factors to consider.
I know you're just, right now, we're just talking about lines and moving forward, if, you know, this goes through, which sounds like it's gonna go through, whatever. However, for us as neighbors moving forward on the properties that could be utilized and sold and homes built on them. Because we're new here, I'm not familiar with all this historic stuff with the subdivisions and all that kind of stuff. What is the zoning for them turning the house, the current residence, into an Airbnb? What is the zoning for somebody to come in and build a house from the city or someplace and just turn it into an Airbnb and not themselves even live there?
That was.
Okay, could you state your name for the record? Robin Dearline, okay. the, uh, there is a deed restriction that does have some controls that was placed by the sellers on the current owner about use, about for-profit use. Do you want to address that?
I don't remember the.
Okay,
Language, but that was one of the restrictions. They could not make the lots into like social gatherings for profit, Airbnbs, I believe, or something.
so I think the fact that two of the people that sold it have houses across the street, they also want to retain the nature of their quiet street on General Smith and put in that restriction. I don't know. I didn't ask about that.
You mean so the Smiths put the restriction
Yeah.
into the corporation?
Yeah.
when it was purchased?
Yeah, there's a deed restriction. They can't.
Yeah.
It can't.
I mean, they could have a wedding for family member, but not for profit. And then about Airbnb controls, the village has discussed controls of that. There's some degree, but that governs the use of properties, but not very strong language.
So is there something we need to initiate?
Yeah, a revision was made there was a revision an amendment added a few years ago that addresses things like parking and noise. And maybe you've all seen a house that's rented for Airbnb and it's supposed to have a limit of 6 people, but on a Saturday night, there could be 18 cars there, weekend after weekend. So the intention was to provide provisions that protected against that type of thing.
What you're saying is the Smiths did have a deed restriction that prevents an Airbnb being built on any.
Or you,
No, not being built,
but they're,
on, I believe, and I'm not sure, I don't want to be quoted on whether it's the deed restriction says no Airbnb, but there is a restriction on the use of the property, which I would believe is the property as is now. So the main house and the remaining property, because I would think if they're selling a lot, that deed restriction would not go with that lot.
that's what I'm saying.
And that's,
So-
right.
Right, so the people who come in, so
It's like
I say I want
transferring
to buy
proposed lot.
and build something on there, I can turn around and rent it
Correct,
all the time. And
correct.
I think the restriction carried through.
It's still in there.
The deed restriction will carry through. If it was on that entire parcel. So a piece of that parcel, it's under the same restriction.
I guess that's something to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just-
One question.
Okay, your name, please?
Mine's in Wiley and I live right across the street.
Right.
Anyways, you know, a good friend of mine told me a long time ago, don't just talk about what you do it. My only question is, what percentage of the people in the village that I have to get a petition, try to get people together to change the zoning? Is there does anybody know what percentage you would have to have somebody to?
I don't think there is. I think it's up to your persuasive comments and the village board. There's,
So it had nothing to do with if the village, let's say 80% of the people wanted to vote on this, you still could kibosh it?
you mean the village board?
Yeah.
They probably would. If 80% of the people thought that and they didn't do it, they'll probably not be reelected. So I'm not dismissing what you're saying, but I don't think there's any,
That was just a question.
Right.
I didn't know if you-
right. Well, I think we have a few board members here this evening and they're hearing comments. And certainly this is not 80% of the community, but it's a portion of the community. And right, I understand what you're saying.
There was at one time, this is not long after we moved in the village, the old mill was being used as not a B&B, but what do you call it? When you just go in, you can stay overnight.
Bed and breakfast.
It wasn't a 40. But anyway, there was a restriction. They were sued. Because there was a restriction in their deed, and my understanding was it was up and down General Smith Drive, no businesses. I mean, nothing for profit. I don't know if that still exists or not.
Yeah.
I think you might have been involved in that lawsuit because your house is on that.
Yeah. And there was a second house down from the old mill. But the couches home. That was a rental.
Yeah.
And most, if it, many people maybe remember that most of the people that performed at the comedy club would stay there. It was a little crazy, but
So we should look into that as a community then to see what we could do to limit Airbnbs, rentals and everything within, you know, cause we came from an area that we lived in 20 years. And when we moved in, it was just us. There was just the local people. It was families, it was kids, it was, you know, just normal. The city people moved in, they bought up the property, never lived there. They only rented it. We lost the kids, we lost the families. And it just ruined the whole area. And I think that's something the community here, when they say, oh, well, we need these houses for our school, we need this. Then we need to start looking at other limits then as well.
Recently, there was a meeting at the ballroom to kick off a discussion about community issues. And that is one of the topics. In addition to housing, do we need more housing? What kind of housing? What's affordable housing? And what role do Airbnbs play in our community? And enter into that, the demographics of our community have changed in the last 15 to 20 minutes or 15 to 20 years. Probably.
there you go.
Yeah, so, you know, you could think about any number of streets and there would be families with children. Now there's those same streets, either the people are in Florida or they're old and have no young children, you know, all those things. So it's a complex set of circumstances. It's not cut and dry. It's not simple. It's not easy to solve, but it's one thing that's important is that the discussions are had and not rushed. Take thought and time to process through it. Okay, yes.
I'm Mike Valvo. I'm at 114 East Washington. And I'd like to ask a couple of things. First of all, would a written comment be admissible in part of the file for this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I've got a stack of them.
May have another one. So one of the things that came up for me is, especially in talking just now, is that you have this very unique property that is difficult to live in at this point. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort to live in a property like that, keep it up the way it needs to be kept, especially in part of a historic district. So to me, it's clear that the purchase of this property, it seems to be important to the developers to divide the properties so that there's more money available. And I'm wondering if, you know, with the amount of affordable housing that's needed and with the amount of property that I may or may not know about here, I'm wondering if a land swap could be possible.
Thank you.
I forgot one thing in there. This is a textural issue in that particular spot. I think it's a very important visual issue. And I just wanted to add that in there, but I will make a.
Thank you. When I spoke to the owner, he did talk about the fact that they were proud of the other home they owned on General Smith and had done a lot of work. And the fact that this property had been for sale for quite a while and had searched out opportunities for museums or other avenues, a college that needed a facility. But in the end, that didn't work out. And so they purchased it and they've invested a considerable amount of money, especially on the interior with things that needed to be done. Not, I don't think meant as an explanation, but as weighing the pros and cons of a property that needed attention, needed investment, and they are doing their part with that. More comments.
Well, I have one quick one. Would you consider asking your employer to withdraw his subdivision proposal?
He has considered that. He did not want it.
Well, we have a room full of people that ask their respectfully to do that.
I think he's aware. He is.
That was part of my phone call to him.
Question, Janet.
Yeah.
in Discussing it with the attorney, and you probably mentioned the hearing and the petition, et cetera. What was his feeling on that?
You mean the public opposition?
Yes.
Right. It's important for the community to know about, but he felt that what we are looking at the public opinion doesn't really have much power because, and I did a little additional reading about this, in communities that have historic preservation guidelines or regulations, and there's a difference in guidelines, regulations, we're somewhere in between. Planning boards can deny an application based on intrusion of historic character or neighborhood, the integrity of a neighborhood, but it's very specific. There have to be written and approved criteria within a law that opposition would provide substantial evidence that those conditions are not being met. And in this case, we don't have that. We say we want to protect our community character. We say we want, in fact, there's a section in this subdivision law, I asked the attorney, it's section 5-13, I think it is, but where it says in subdivision, protect unique and natural features, including historic sites and landmarks or historic sites and, the surrounding property. I said, what about that? If you were building something, yes. Or if you were demolishing or putting vinyl vertical siding on that, that's where that comes into play. But in a neighborhood that has 2 other houses on the block and houses all the way around the block, adding 3 more is not a substantial intrusion or removal of the historic resource. And so, it's tough to find anything that we can stand on that says, well, I know the lots comply, but there's a lot of people here that don't want it. So we're not going to approve it. I was very cautious the last meeting not to proceed quickly because there's 2 sides to everything at least. And either side in this case could easily challenge this board's decision. And it's been done before. If you've lived here, you're aware of a few of those. Unfortunately, the village has prevailed at the village's expense. But this is one of those is like, I might be sitting there with you if I wasn't on this board.
Basically, you're telling me we're wasting our time.
No, you're not.
What you're telling me, if I had 1,000 people here, it wouldn't.
In that regard, right, I don't think we could, right, but you're not wasting your time, I don't think.
I asked a
Yeah.
quick question. Fulton's Beach property that's owned by the engineer.
Yep.
But now, didn't we rule on something on that, subdividing 2 lots?
Yeah, there was something unusual in that set of circumstances.
But there was tremendous opposition to it, which we listened to. Everybody, all the residents opposed it.
I think in that case, there were some deed restrictions because those were primarily cottages and people had rights to certain public access to waterfront.
Okay, so it's a little different. different
Yeah, there
situation.
was, in that case, there was a deed restriction that goes way back to, yes.
My name's Nate Weather. My wife and I own a lot next to Robinson Hill Park, catty corner to the proposed kind of development. Came tonight because I was interested in the parking lot, but I'll make sure to address that through the appropriate avenue. But was it Mike? So the thing that Mike brings up, just as somebody that if you have land, I'm imagining that for these folks, it's a costly enterprise that needs a lot of money to go into it. And this is a way to drum up business to funnel money back into the property. I don't know what the rules and regulations are, but the village owns a considerable amount of land in the village marked for future development. I keep thinking about the land swap type idea, and it might be a scenario where it gives somebody land that could be developed and has monetary value while preserving what so many people here seem to really value about the historic nature of the village. And so I just wanted to echo his statement because I don't know how that works from a village perspective. If it's something you can do. But if I was this corporation, I understand from talking to George, they've invested quite a bit of money into the wallpaper. So these gentlemen have done beautiful work with the old mansion, the Candlelight Guest House. I mean, they've done restored historic buildings in this village that are valuable. I think they care about them. I think they care about the aesthetics. And so perhaps that would be an avenue that could be a win-win. And so I just wanted to echo Mike's statement because it seemed like maybe a reasonable avenue.
Thank you. I'm aware of some mechanisms for that, but I was just looking, I'm not sure what our law provides regarding that. I think that may be more traditionally used and outlined if it was a vacant parcel and you were putting in a road and sidewalks and 20 houses and wanted to set aside some open space, trade some properties. But I'm not sure how that would work in this case. But
I have a sort of, Tom, I have a sort of a question.
Yeah.
Was there this kind of a meeting when held or grant request when Liberty Yachts was sold to what's now owned the property by PJ Sameo that lies vacant?
oh, yes.
Vacant for decades.
Oh, yes.
And where do you got now for that?
That's why I'm cautious here. I went through that. The ringer. But yeah. No, I mean, this is not a foolproof system. Clearly it's not. Things can go wrong. A couple of people mentioned National Register. Doesn't that provide some degree of protection? It really doesn't put any prohibition on privately owned property. It elevates the status of a structure, but just because it's part of a National Register district, it doesn't mean you can't do things to it. But our local historic overlay district does provide some degree of protection for that. But the status itself doesn't mean, oh, no, you can't do this or that. Other comments? Yes.
One in regard to that road, rows of townhouses.
Could you give us your name and then speak up a little bit?
So I know this is ostensibly just for the 3 lots and lines on a map, but my brain leaps to the place where we have 3 houses, 3 new homes on that piece of property that do not look the way we want them to look. Maybe the owners can't ever occupy them, but there they sit like that. We're trying to prevent that. In the end, that's what we're really trying to prevent.
I understand. I guess in that sense, make sure you come back.
My comment is, it's nice to have everybody here tonight, because this has done it. So where have you been while we've been dealing with houses over in the barracks?
Yeah, that's.
And I hear a lot of people after the fact coming and saying, why did you do that? Well, why didn't you come to the hearing and talk about it? Some of the other things have been done in the village. Why haven't you come to a hearing, talk about it and help us out? Leave us to struggle by ourselves. We do the best we can. And some of them work out well and some of them don't. But to do something, like we're going through all this and have people just, oh, that's planning, it's terrible. No, we're trying to protect the village.
In response to that, those houses that built way down on the barracks, according to the plan here, certain number of people who live in the proximity were required to be on notice. How many people were required to be on notice when those were built? So
We never heard about.
so how much? We've struck up a bunch of people here and advised them, let them know, you know, through the web or whatnot, what was going on, how much notice the people in the village get, if that was even requested.
It was, I think it's 200 feet within the from the
So a
property.
lot of people we talked to never even knew about this.
This,
Yeah.
Never mind.
oh, I thought you meant that one.
Yeah.
What was it, 200 feet? Is that what yeah, so from the property,
Right.
I think there were 24 letters that went out, so 24 property owners, something like
More
that.
Public notices need to be for everybody to be involved.
And that's all governed by state law, which is in our law, so we.
We didn't always go beyond that though, too.
You're talking about the barracks.
Well, no, she's
Oh, she-
read about us
She's
now.
talking about this one.
But
Asking where we were during the past.
Yeah,
If we knew all of these things
Yeah.
going on.
yeah.
Probably would have been there.
there's
but
been more
Yeah.
people that
Not
disseminated.
knowing.
I'll just say, I'm glad you're here today. Let's not beat up the past here.
Can I just make one comment?
Absolutely.
Betsy Regan, I think that the Facebook page for Sackett's Harbor Living seems to be a very good opportunity to let people know about things. And Robin had posted our concerns on there and we had comments back and forth, different kind, answers. But at least that might be an additional means to get it out to people.
People, it's different times.
I know this is a topic in the village discussion, village board, last two village board meetings at least. How do we get people more informed and
But then again, unless there's some other means, like he says, you can have 1,000 of us here and it really isn't gonna make any difference, which is discouraging to the public. So we kind of like is, why are we doing this? I mean, yeah, our opinions are good. You can work at them in the forward, but, moving forward or whatever. But if it's gonna be results like this, it's gonna get discouraging really fast for people to show up.
Yeah, so you vote people out. Change in the zoning. The answer is.
yes,
Paul Boucher, 114 West Washington. I realize what a difficult conversation this is, and I actually wanted to give a thank you to this board because of the public comments you received in the first session, how seriously you've taken this and how much research has gone into this as a volunteer board. So I wanted to say thank you for your efforts on that because I actually feel protected as a resident knowing that you all care so much. So thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, at this point in time, it's lines on a map. We do have some control over what's built there.
Right.
And how
Oh,
it's,
right.
and how it's built.
And to get to that step, public comment does matter. A lot. Some of this is legally valid.
Right, exactly.
Now, when a structure comes to application for a structure presented,
We
the
had,
aesthetics of that, definitely you can weigh in on.
we had Northern Federal change even the direction of traffic in and out of
I
their,
remember now.
in and out of their driveway because headlights are gonna bother one of the houses. They turn it around so the headlights go into the cemetery, not into the house.
Right.
They also changed the design with a lot more stonework on the front of it. Got them to match what's in the barracks a little bit better. But that was a long discussion, but we do have some power.
To make that.
When somebody comes in with a design, for example, if we approve these lots and someone comes by and buys a lot and wants to put a house on it, they're gonna come here for their design. And that's where we need you to continue to be here to help us with those designs.
So when a person buys this lot and decides to put up a house, how do they go about finding out if the sewer system can handle it? Can the water system deal with it? You know, how does that?
As a minor subdivision, it's clear that the village has capacity for that with the water and sewer.
I mean, there's a lot of considerations. Two more driveways coming out on Broad Street. Is that a safety issue?
Slow down the traffic.
On Hamilton Street,
You try and slow down the traffic. We see it come by all the time. Oh, yeah, it's been addressed. 60 miles an hour. Whoa, there we go.
on Hamilton Street, tractor trailers come down Hamilton Street all the time. Rather than coming down Broad Street, they come down Hamilton Street and turn on to General Smith.
Right.
Yep.
That's.
They don't slow down much coming off Broad onto Hamilton.
Another
There's a lot
comment?
of- Lot of issues.
Stephanie Elliott, 348 East Main. Just for clarification, if and when the parking lot becomes an issue, it does not come before you at all? The village board?
What's that?
It depends on how it's.
Yeah.
If they grant an easement, if the village grants, or if they grant an easement to the village, I don't think that comes before us.
So lighting,
Right.
whatever is required for public safety is not.
Right. I don't think the village is required to submit site plan as the owner of the village, the law, basically. It's not the correct term, but sometimes out of courtesy, this village will present ideas to the planning board for comment. I think that would be a question for the village board.
Parks didn't come to us at all, did
No.
So we wouldn't even be notified as neighbors, like we were notified as this. It could just like happen and nobody would have any say in it.
Well, it depends on how the village board functions with that. I mean, that's often that can be a concern that things are happening and we don't know, or, I mean, that's what somebody might say. I didn't know this. It's like, well, did you come to a meeting? Well, how would I know if
But what I'm saying though, for
right.
you, an easement is different. So
Right.
we're not gonna know about. All of a sudden, we're just gonna have trucks out there putting gravel in and the value of our property is probably gonna shoot down a bit because
Right.
we're gonna have a parking lot now behind our house. I should sell before the parking lot goes in. Can you let me know that?
Yeah. If they let me know, or whoever they are, I don't, and that's not on the plan
Right now,
at all.
it's kind of hearsay.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
So-
Well,
It doesn't need to be on the plan.
that's a village board decision. You need to go to a village board meeting to find out about
I
it.
guess we gotta slow down.
Not here.
Right, but I'm saying though, we're not gonna even know.
We'd have
You
to
don't
call
need,
the
you can go to the village board meeting every month. And that's where you'll find out. They do put out their agenda every month.
I think they're starting to serve snacks. Next month is wings, I think.
Yeah.
I have a question for the applicant. On lot 3, I like things symmetrical and it's not a straight line, it angles. It's 100 feet on the side facing General Smith and 90 feet behind the Deerline house. Why is it, I know you have to meet acreage, total area, and you need frontage, but
Maybe because of that shed.
The common corner.
pardon me?
I think it was to get the common corner. I think you
Well, you have a common corner. Why do you go out an extra 10 feet? It's because, I mean, it's a line and it wouldn't matter if it's just green space, but let's say somebody puts up a fence. You know, it just says a line of sight or a row of trees.
I think it was met here without.
Right, but I'm talking about this one. This goes,
After the minimum lot size.
That could be.
well, maybe, but I wanted to ask him.
That might be why, to be honest, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I mean, if anything, I would have kept it 100, going 100 on the other side, but you probably want to keep the top corner of that other lot.
So you're saying to make the lot minimum
I'm assuming that's why I want-
instead of going longer? Like an extra 4 feet or something?
I assume, yeah, the width that you want, you want the width you want, but I think the depth,
What's the width? Is the width 100 or 110?
It's 110.
Okay. Hard to read. And the ones on 109 on,
Anyway, that just as a question, why did you do that? And there are no easements on any of these lots? Except, oh yeah, there is an encroachment easement on lot 3.
There's a continued use of that shed.
That belongs.
Right. So that would go with lot 3.
Yes, that would, lot 3, it would be burdened by it.
Would be what?
Burdened by it. That, even when they sell it, that easement will continue on the level line with shed. So we have, that our shed would still be allowed to stay on that piece of property because of the easement. The easement is there.
Any other comment?
Rodney Peterson, and you're the 215 Monroe Street. I submitted
Thank you.
some comments here. I think it's pretty apparent that we're here because we're people who are neighbors and we're citizens and we're concerned about the historic aspect of this area. We're here because we're neighbors. The owners have sent someone representing their LLC. They are not here. They are not here to face us. They're not here to hear our comments at all. I've seen this happen in other areas of the country where I've lived. Someone comes in, have an LLC, they do this and they start building and they change the character of the area. Then if they want to, they just move. They have other properties and they do the same thing over and over again because they don't live here. They don't face us. They know to a certain degree, because their lawyers have gone over it, that there's a sense of powerlessness on a legal end for us. This will set a precedent. This will set a precedent.
What's the next development?
Don't do this. All that has to happen is once like this, and another LLC will do the same thing. Or someone will move in first and then form an LLC and they'll deed the property over to that and it starts all over again.
What happened with us?
People come here on their vacations and for social events here in the town. And these neighborhoods, because they have this historic buildings and they're not mixed in with new structures right in this poor area. It's one of the reasons that they come here. This right in the center of town here. One street off of the main drag. This will change everything if you approve this. It only takes once. And I'm not the only one who's feeling this here. Some people just feel shy about speaking up. I'm not. I've seen this.
Thank you. Other comment?
Well, let's say, okay, let's say you approve this because that's from both the lightning comes down, it's got changing. Let's just say you approve this lot, and let's say for some odd reason, we get a proposal to vote on it. That changed, and obviously, it would be where they would be restricted not to build. I mean, that's if we got that far. So in other words, they, they still be able to follow the same zoning laws, so saying November. Or
I think I see what you're saying. There'd probably be a clause in there about pre-existing lots. Typically that's done, so it protects, but I don't know that suppose change. I don't know what it would say, but.
And if you vote no, I mean, if you were to vote no tonight or any other time, is there a fear of being sued by these people or having a legal, coming at you? And
Everything we
Absolutely.
vote on is.
Yeah, we always had that chance.
Yeah.
Now, another real, would be an interesting question. With the people who, assuming that this was approved, the lots were sold, would the people buying those lots have advance notice of the restrictions, the deed, or the historical overlay that was gonna restrict whatever they wanted to put in?
Well, that's debatable. I don't know if realtors convey that info. I mean,
we were conveying what we can do with windows and.
What would be out there protest signs?
Yeah.
Don't buy this property.
Back way to the back.
yes,
I just want to say, we came here, or actually, I came here about 5 years ago.
can you give us your name, please? It's okay.
Sure, it's on Steel Street. I came here about 5 years ago. We'd had our boat in Chesapeake, and we were looking for someplace else to go to. So I drove up here from Virginia. I started in Henderson and just followed the bay and the river on it all the way to Alex Bay. And I first chose, and then, let Hope know that, I thought this was just a place to come to. And I just want to echo Robin's comment. We came here because of the character of the village. And, Hope said, we moved from a place where, in just a short period of time, it went from 30,000 to over 100,000.
Yeah.
And, it definitely would change the character of the village if that was changed, houses were built there.
Thank you.
Unless you lived it and experienced that, it's not good. It's just not. And it's very true what he said. They come in, and somebody on the Facebook page said that it would attract, more people from like New York City. That blew my mind because we left New York City. That, people coming into our little community, which was even.
Outside of Lake George Village, where we lived
Yeah.
for 20 years.
And they
people retired from New York City,
Came
moved up to that area,
Bought it
ruled the
all.
whole area.
Turned into
Bring,
LLCs.
anybody here lived in New York City before? Bring your attitudes north with you. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's gonna set a precedent.
Yeah.
It's gonna be what it is,
A little here, a little there. before
Way in
you
the,
go in.
way in the back.
Okay,
Karen Carbone, yeah. The historic overlay district, can you just clarify, does it encompass that whole area?
yes, it does.
Broad and, okay,
Yes, it does.
so the same rules apply? for
Yes.
every lot. Okay.
Thank you. Question in the back?
Dan Fields on 212 North Broad, right across the street there. I'm a big with the whole thing, just to put my opinion out there. Because what the gentleman was saying here about, individuals, the character of the village, that's why people come here to visit. The character of the village is why I moved here. I'm stationed at Fort Drum. I'm going to retire here in just a couple of months, but I lived here for, I think, 4 years now. Moved from Brownville. And the conflicted part is that I care very much, like I said, that's why I moved here. When I moved here, there were some comments online about the way that property looked before the organization that owns it now bought it. It's overgrown. Even from my house right there on North Broad, I couldn't see the house except for the line. So when they purchased it, we figured all that out. They see it on its own still around there for everybody. So I'm conflicted to appreciate what they've done to the house, but then also say, no, I don't think they should add any more houses there. Been toying with that since I first got the notification. I think I have to lean towards not supporting it, only because the reasons you said why people come here is why I moved here. And to look every day from my house, and I'll selfishly, yes, look from my front porch and to see that glorious mansion there. And then in the wintertime to the harbor, it's great. But to add, more houses and more traffic, which yes, the traffic is corner of Broad where it turns into Dodge and everybody gets the gas to go down. Just wanted my opinion out there. I think it's out. That property and others around, but I wouldn't like to see houses going up across the street. It's just my 4 cents.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay, I'd like to close the hearing. Questions from the board, discussion?
There was no other new information on the application, is that correct?
No new information, no deed restriction. And no interest in imposing conditions on the property to limit further structures or subdivisions. As a voluntary action, and advised against implementing that as a condition because it would restrict property owners' rights.
Just one comment. I live on the corner of Dodge and Broad and Camp Lane. I watch people go around that bend way too fast. But I've also watched, my wife had the comment a lot of times when we first moved here, between the entry to the barracks and all the way down to the far corner where Mike Campbell's house is, that was all wildflowers and butterflies and all that stuff, and a wide open view to the lake. And this is, in the years I've been on this board, before I was on the ZBA, it's the first time I've heard people start to mention the view shed, the houses. We've lost a lot of view shed. But they had their right just as much as Tom McNeely and his LLC have the right to subdivide their property. Control is then when somebody wants to build on it, we'll get some control over what it is they build. I think these lots are big enough that they're going to block some view. Not as much as the old overgrown hedge did, for sure. Because all summer long, you couldn't see anything but garbage. And at least hopefully these will be kept up, once they're sold and become something additional to the village. I'm not so sure about everything that we approve, except that we approve them under guidelines that we have to follow. And that's, I mean, the village has changed. Our school is so much smaller now than it was when we moved in here, because families with kids are not moving in. What we're getting moving in are retirees. So that just seems to be the flow of the village right now.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
To the
sure.
villagers, is anybody with the concerns that are against the subdivision can approach the owner about buying it collectively? And then you can guarantee that nothing will be built on it.
You can start an LLC.
We had all them.
And I wonder how many homes in this village that you think are owned by individuals are owned by an LLC or an S, you know, a lot of them are. They're done for legal protection, not because they want to be a business and subdivide the whole village up. I think that's not a great argument. They're an LLC, they're just gonna build it up and then leave. John McNeely is originally from Adams, New York. And that's where his family started their business. Adams, they're still in the area.
Okay, in answer to your question, that being brought up, there was a proposed development on Butterfield Ave in Watertown. Jake Johnson also proposed, well, everybody can buy together and buy that property from me. Are you kidding? I'm gonna do it or else, or you can buy it. I mean.
Didn't mean that to be an offensive question.
Well,
It's a guarantee.
it wasn't meant to be an offensive question, or, it's just. Is that
We'll
the
have to
thing?
wait
now?
and see what he puts the price on.
I'll pay 10,000.
Oh, they're gonna go for much more than
I know.
10,000.
I know. But that's all it's
Should
gonna
be
be.
asked of the village.
Well, you get 10,000.
It's one of the most significant properties. It's Elijah Camp's property. It's really one of the most significant reasons why there's a village of Sackett's Harbor. So perhaps your question should be asked of the village. Instead of that going to private market, maybe the village should put an offering somehow. Figure it out. They have an LDC. This means this continues heritage tourism. So it's my thought.
Exactly. Who bought the church? What organization bought the church?
Historical Society.
And the church wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the mansion, right?
I don't know that.
I don't believe so.
That did have a deed restriction too. It was an offer to turn it into a home and then the deed restriction was.
They have
But
to
either
have.
way, they bought it to preserve it.
Right.
Church wouldn't be there, I don't believe, if I read the history right,
Right.
without the Elijah Camp, because they're the ones who built the church. So that's a good option. Maybe the historical society could look into seeing what the offer would be.
We just had fundraisers go around for
Yeah.
bake sales. I love the cook.
Any other interesting ideas to float or questions for the board?
And family was very involved in the Presbyterian church too. Take a vote on this as a complete application before.
No. Do we need other information? We clarified there are no easements. Other than that one shed.
I would move that we have a complete application.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I oppose.
Well, what's the board thought here?
Well, I think that if there's no public comment, there's nobody on Zoom, that we're at the point where we can vote on the application.
Thanks for mentioning Zoom. I forgot to.
No, I opened it up for comments. No one has said anything. So.
Can you tell how many people?
How many?
6 people.
Six.
I have a comment.
Yes, Merle.
The comment is, why do we have public hearings? Is it just to inform the public? Because I think it's, at least I got the feeling last time that they didn't matter. Because the attorney said that, I guess the attorney kind of indicated to you that they didn't matter. But we have public hearings for a reason. And we also have petitions that we look at for a reason. And I just think if we're going to ignore 47 people that have signed a petition, and I've talked to some people that didn't sign the petition because they were uncomfortable. And I think that's an awful place to be in a village where you're fearsome, possibly, of power. So that's my take on it. And reading over the historical guidelines again, they talk, and it's mainly about buildings. That's part of the problem, but they also talk about the historic nature of the area. And does this fit into the historic nature of the area?
And that's where it's quite subjective because around the entire block are structures. Some are old and your home is relatively new. And there are others that are not old. So that's a tough.
I would argue that's only on General Smith. The other three roads are all historical.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
To comment, Merle, if I may, about your comment, because I felt the same way about, when this brought a lot of things to my mind about how, why do we have not public hearing? That's for notification, but public comment. But, looking through the regulation and the law and the history of this particular property line, this specific details is the decisions that we make tonight on this type of application isn't an aesthetic decision, as most of ours are, where public comment does influence or can very much influence what we come up with justification. But legal ground is different for a subdivision. I just, 2 cents.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay, do we all know where we stand on this? Should we? Anybody want to make a motion? Stick your neck out there.
Well, in a month. To get it to a vote so we can
Right.
stop going around the corner. I'll move to approve the application.
I think with that, I would suggest we add some statements like we often do with a special permit where there's further scrutiny, and this is not a special permit, but it's important that some rationale be provided, I think.
My rationale is that it goes back to following the original lot lines of the lot that building was on way back in 18 whatever. Before they bought out the lots next to it and made it larger. Which this.
They bought a lot on Broad Street. I thought the lots that they bought were on Camp Street.
My understanding from the Deerline home to General Smith on the side of Hamilton, and from the Nan home down Camp Lane, those side areas were not included.
Broad Street.
Right, it went back to Broad Street, was my understanding. So,
Motion fails for no second.
well, I'm pondering what we would put with it. So, I think that comment that you made is important, that part of your rationale is that it's consistent with the historic configuration of the property. Scale and magnitude is important, and out of this 3-acre parcel, 25% is what's being proposed to be subdivided. So 25% of a lot is proposed for the subdivision, and magnitude of the impact numbers are sometimes helpful. So it's not like half the lot or 75%, a quarter of the lot is being changed. And yes, it's 25% with a significant impact. But
So there's just 3 lots.
3 lots. Well, in the end, there would be 4. Because
the main lot is one.
And each of the 3 lots that are proposed conform to the zoning area and frontage requirements. And I think it's important to acknowledge that we listened to and considered the public comment and emails received, and that sought voluntary concession, but from the owner to mitigate the impact. And that was without success. And that the future development of these lots, should it occur, would be subject to site plan review. And I think those concerns are relevant to.
Even though those are already in the zoning law that they would have to do that, you want that added as a contingency?
As a rationale for our decision. Often our minutes don't include much detail other than a motion to approve with 3 yes and 2 no. And then if somebody looks back in 3 years and say, well, what did they do? It's like, well, I don't know. All it says is, and I think it's important when there's a lot of discussion to provide some background. So I would like to have that included, whatever way the decision is to go. So that's like 5 or 6 things that I think are relevant here.
Makes sense. With that detail.
With that detail.
That level of detail, I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Challenging conversation here in the community, and I appreciate your commitment to Sackets Harbor, and I understand how most of you here are disappointed. And I'm sorry about that.
Come back for the next meeting.
One more question.
Yes.
So as it currently is, each lot appears to be 0.25.
0.24, yeah.
Okay, so can that be subdivided or no?
No.
Minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet.
Okay, we have some other very interesting projects to review.
You do. Will we get notice if those lots sell and people apply to build?
You won't get a personal letter. There would be information on the village website about a hearing, and you should come. Oh, no, I totally disagree with you on that.
On design, makes it.
Oh, really? I do. I do.
Next to my house. You know what I'm saying?
Lot more mass.
I have to sign them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough.
I can.
You have an extra one or two?
Yeah.
Follow up, see when they're.
Well, she's gonna sign it.
I'm sorry.
Find out the lot control, you need to follow up and check.
Yeah, not right.
Well,
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can have, that's good. That's good.
Doing a lot
Oh,
of.
it makes great drawing paper. for little kids.
Zoning and everything.
Thank you. Thank you for research.
I'm gonna say that. You know,
Which house are you in?
the one on the corner, right next. Like those lots are gonna be right next to me. Yes. You know, if anything,
Okay,
I'll put a higher fence on.
Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
the meeting is still in session.
Appreciate
We've got more topics to discuss.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is, application 2603. Thanks for coming. And this is, an application for re-roofing a building on Main Street that houses the bubble tea. And, at our last meeting, we, completed the seeker review and had a public hearing, but we tabled it for lack of information. And the board now has information about the roofing material that would be used. And the current roof is shingle. And it's on the back side of. We won.
Sorry about that.
So the current roof is shingle and the applicant's requesting a metal roofing. And the color is black and it's one of those theme roofs. There are metal roofs that appear to be shingles. This is not that. This is the kind with the seams running from the peak to the eaves. The applicant is not here, but is available via phone should we need to have a conversation. So all we need to do is discuss and approve or reject the material in the style. And the reason it's before us is that it's a change in material. And there are metal roofs of various designs surrounding this building. The hotel directly behind it, across the street, up the street, around the corner. They're everywhere now. So talk about setting a precedent. We've already approved a number of metal roofs. So personally, I feel like there's not much discussion here other than the color. And I feel that the trim on the main part of the brick building is roofed. It's one of those slightly sloped flat roofs. And all you see from the street is the edging. I don't know what it's called, but there's like a trim piece on the top. Yeah, I think of soffit is under the eaves. So this is
I would call it more
the
like.
flashing almost or something. I know it's not flat. Anyway, fascia,
Fascia.
Good word.
fascia. I think I tore fascia tissue in my knee once. Anyway, so I think the black selected by the applicant and her roofer considered the front of the structure as well. And the picture of, I think it's like an American Legion in Adams or something, is just to show what that black roof looks like on a building that would not fit on Main Street, Sackett's Harbor, but anyway. So what do you think? Any questions on that?
I make a motion to give a complete application.
Second.
Thank you. Craig and Dick, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
The only thing you're hoping, waiting on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of approving it. I don't see any reason not to.
Yeah, I think we have some comments.
My question was answered, but I do have one comment. I mean, I don't think it's a huge issue. It's a black roof and it's not going to be seen. And
Well, actually, it would be seen.
it would be seen.
Yeah, this is,
It's black, it's black.
Right.
So the question is, where do we go in the future in, like Robin said, we're setting a precedent. What do we want to do? How do we want to preserve? And my other question was, is it the historic district?
oh, yes, it's right on Main Street.
So I think that's a big question. How do we continue to be flavor of the village, while at the same time approving materials clearly, at least to our eye, modern. And I think that's a big question. You say no, you got to put in a roof that looks like the original. The original was probably not. The original was probably cedar shanks, perhaps. But I think that's a question. And the roof, it's dark, and I think this is going to happen over and over again. I've been there before, so.
We don't know what the original roof was, and I think metal roofs were used many years ago. And I think that's the rationale for, I mean, there are, pardon me? No, part of the building is flat. It's next door to Goodfellas. And it's the back part. So I guess what I'm saying is there have been buildings that are old that had metal roofs and have been replaced with metal roofs. There have been roofs that had shingles, asphalt shingles that went to metal roofs. We have reviewed cedar shingle roofs that have gone to shingles that are like a composite material that intended to look more like a slate. So modern materials are allowed in our law with an effort to encourage those that look most fitting on the structure. Yeah.
These are more like architectural.
No, the what's on there now that leaked are.
But the new roof, it's not going to be the long sheets.
Yes, it is.
It is the long sheet.
It's in your packet, the picture.
Oh, okay.
Not only the longevity of the roof.
That's right.
And it's being black and it's on the back of the building, which I feel like it makes a lot of sense.
And I know that property owners' finances don't really enter into this, but as in the previous application, it costs a lot of money to buy and fix old buildings. And I don't know if you were around last summer, the sidewall of that building crumbled. And then this ice dam created a substantial amount of internal water damage this winter. It seems fitting to allow the owner to select a material that has been approved and, I often have said to people, we're not a Williamsburg, we're trying our best, but this community has a lot of residents that don't have the luxury of choosing the premium top shelf product. And I'm not saying this owner does or doesn't, I'm just saying there's a lot of expense in owning and trying to upgrade a building that's been neglected for years, or had, I shouldn't say neglected, but has exterior damage that's needed repair. And so I guess that's a,
I totally get that.
yeah.
Is there, do they have to submit a, do they have to submit a sample?
Yeah, not a physical, but we have the material specifications. Which I think, did you hand her something for the last?
No, I handed her something that she needed from me from the chamber.
Oh, okay. I thought it was about the last one. It's like, well, that should actually go to her. Okay.
Notes in class.
Okay. So where are we with this?
Anymore, we didn't really officially open it.
Right, but we, of course, we're all friendly tonight.
I make a motion, we approve the application as.
I second.
Thank you, Craig and Merle. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, one last thing with this. Last year, we approved an application for her signage and the side patio. The side patio work was not done. Her permit is still valid through the summer, and she has requested adding a fence to the side on that little stone wall to keep people off the wall for safety. So I said what we could do in checking with our zoning officer is amend that application, save her paperwork and another application fee, but hold a hearing on that next month.
That
So-
sounds reasonable.
Trying to be accommodating to our businesses. Okay, application 2604, Rich Kuna. The parking waiver was approved that we forwarded to the village board. Finally, the last item. Number 2606, Tobin Marty, 101 Monroe Street, site plan review to repurpose an existing storage area and construct an addition to the residence to create a garage that's attached. This is in the village residential zoning district, the historic overlay district, and the National Register district, and we have a public hearing scheduled. Is the applicant here? Maybe that's who you are. The board members have your materials. Would you like to explain what you're doing? Sometimes words are helpful.
I will do my best. Kind of doing this. Hello, my name is Tobin Marty, 101 Monroe Street. This is my wife, Mary Napella. And I also have Kelly Hare, who's kind of standing in for contractor who's going to be working on the residence or that portion of it. From my understanding, the addition was built. So there was something there before. We think it was a garage per our real estate agent back in 2016 when we purchased it. Lots of flagstones that demonstrate it probably was some type of carriage house or something like that, but looks like that was torn down. All that we have left is the building, which Kinney, Andrew Kinney, built an office for his legal, I guess he was a lawyer. So he had a practice there. So the back room, we don't really use. The interesting thing, when I kind of delved into it to see what kind of materials were in it, obviously the new addition portion of it is the right-hand side of the house at the base from Monroe Street. We have an AI generated, well, portion of it. Sorry. But where you see the garage door and the that is the proposed addition. It is not any wider than the original structure that currently is there. And like I said, when I was driving into the walls, I found out it is made out of concrete. Approximately 10 feet and a couple inches. My proposal is rather than having a multi-tiered roof, which I think actually is kind of sort of an eyesore, having the roof stretch across, which would require me to raise the roof, no jokes intended, approximately 13 inches. So to match the existing roof line is where you see the dormer at. That's the roof line currently, and then it would extend all the way across. It would also require me to pull the building closer to Monroe, approximately 7 feet 9 inches, to match the current structure that is, well, that's my kitchen with those 2 windows in the front. So the walls are concrete. There are approximately a 4-foot footer. They're all reinforced. I've been down there in the basement. It's completely empty. It's been dug out. The 4-foot footer goes all the way around and attaches to the house. My proposal is to basically build a wall. My current kitchen would then lead into the garage. The garage would be unheated. It's basically going to be technically an unfinished garage. The goal with raising the roof is to have storage space up top. That would be hopefully acceptable from the outside, because we do not have any egress on the second floor anywhere on the house. So it'd be kind of nice to have a little fire escape-ish thing, but also having an exit from that storage area out to the back. I've just kind of queried a couple of my neighbors so far. It sounds like they are in approval of it. And based on your recommendations, I appreciate guidance you have. And maybe historical information or otherwise to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a picture plan.
Oh, yeah, sure. The AI plan?
Is the pitch of the roof going to be, if you want to raise that,
Exactly the same.
the pitch is the same? You just want to raise it 13 inches?
About 13 inches. So when we extend the building out towards Monroe Street, and it's
Monroe Street?
right in front.
Okay.
Facing the front, it's actually going to extend out and match the existing wall that's already.
Oh, is it recessed back now?
Right now, it's 7.7 feet.
Oh, it's recessed back. Now
Back.
you're trying to frame up so that the
Right.
face of this is all.
And that would allow it to actual garage where it matches. That would require framing and of course a garage door.
Is this the front of your house?
That is the front of the original 1874 house, correct?
But that's not, there's no, is there a front door right here?
Oh, yeah. So it's hard to see, but there's actually an open porch and the door is recessed on the left.
You can see it on the, you can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Google Maps,
on-
yep.
online. Yeah.
For real estate.
Look up 106 Monroe, it comes right up. Nice clear picture. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was used to be a garage.
Oh, it was? I didn't know if it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
It used to be a garage.
Well, I'm sure it fell down.
Yeah. I remember receiving old.
Thanks.
Pulled up my full door.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I looked for some pictures of it. I didn't see.
Was the garage bifold door on the end or the Monroe?
Actually.
I think it fell down. I don't think this door.
I could see that. With much of that house, the only thing original is the original house, it looks like. I did actually, if you approve, I did take a picture of something that may help. Actually, did I? Well, okay, there's snow on it, so that's pretty much useless. If you do look online, realestate.com, you'll actually see the original driveway, which is concrete leading up to that addition. Of course, there's no driveway there now. So, but the driveway actually coming off of Monroe Street goes directly towards that building. So that's why I just supposed that there was
So
probably.
this comes to the sidewalk at this point.
It comes all the way up to the sidewalk.
Yeah.
You can have the out like
Actually, I'm hoping, and right now I just have some proposed one. No, it's gonna be, either it's going to kind of go back up into the garage, like a traditional kind of folding insulated garage door that pulls back. But there is a kind of a new design which actually folds up, doesn't have the mechanism, but it does have a garage opening mechanism. It's quiet. And it lifts up and it also becomes like a shaded area out front, so it's half in, half out. You get to use the garage. I think aesthetically it's nicer.
Like, be careful with that because I think some of them kick out before they go up. So if you've got heavy snow in front of it.
Oh, that's good.
Just.
I don't know if it does. I don't know if it raises up. Yeah, it's kind of new, but yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Yeah.
Are you parking on the street now?
We park on the street like April 1st through whatever.
No, it's like November 1st, and then we
That's
park on the yard. We made a parking area in the yard. We don't have a
With
driveway.
a fence?
or
Yeah,
off-street
we
parking.
don't have off-street parking. Yeah. It was
Gonna be a one car garage.
yeah, it's a one-car garage, yeah, because we are about 3 years from retirement, maybe 4, and we are looking forward to.
As part of this application, I'm only seeing this from the online photo of your house. Is
Yes.
part of this application changing that side too? Because you've got like, it looks like a sliding glass door or a French door.
Yeah, the French door's on that side. No, that whole wall is staying exactly the same, except for the 7 feet. We're keeping the existing building, so the back doesn't change, the side doesn't change. The front is the only part that extends out to match the rest of the building.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, none of the side changes, none of the back, actually.
So that's
none
a
of the-
fancy side for a garage.
Huh?
Fancy side for a garage.
It is, but you know what, it's kind of nice because we have dogs.
And lighting, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, I didn't, I missed that.
Oh, no.
I
So what's he pulling out?
Huh? We had to take those down because unfortunately, we were bamboozled into buying them. They said that it was going to reduce the amount of barking. In our dogs, but it has not worked. So
What about the dog that has the little
Yeah.
opening? Is that dog
we
there?
had to close that because.
I saw that. It was, it said brownies,
Yeah, that was, yeah.
but it isn't that brownie disappeared.
Sweet. This one is not.
Oh, okay. All
A
right.
lot of money.
Anyway,
That's half my garage right there.
Can I ask a question? I still don't understand the 7 feet. I'm looking at the 2 different drawings. And the first one is the way it exists now. The second one,
When you see, I'm sorry, and I can't see what
you show it being pulled. This is supposed to show it being pulled out when you show the
that
garage.
is pulled out.
What is pulled out exactly?
So what I'm saying pulled out is the existing building. So I tried to kind of make it a little bit bigger for you.
The 2-story house?
Right here. This piece right here is 7 feet. Right there, this highlighted spot, that is 7 feet 1 inch. Moving forward towards Monroe Street to match the rest of the.
meaning he's building out from that.
out front.
He's not moving what's there. He's adding on to the front.
Right.
So the front.
So you're expanding the roof up above.
I'm gonna lift the roof.
Okay.
Match the ridge line.
Gotcha.
And match the pitch and match everything, which is good because in the back, we have ice dam damage into the wall. Because we have so many layers and roofs, it's becoming a nice.
The front wall comes out even with the front wall of the house? Okay.
And
I'm
what's,
looking at your house here.
Oh, that's it.
And
So the fence is going to be gone. It's actually gonna shorten the fence by
Yeah.
approximately 19 feet.
and from the front of the garage, the new part you're adding, what will be the distance to your property line?
The distance to the property line, so I guess what I don't understand is seeing my property line, obviously is it an easement for the village, like from the road to there, the village has like a certain part of it?
It depends on where you are.
Okay, I don't know exactly what it is, to be honest. I measured.
Your property, your real property tax map would show like, or your deed would show that. And we would need that because of the front yard setback requirement. For example, your current structure is there and nobody can change that. And the law, if it doesn't conform, that's considered non-conforming. But there's a provision, increasing the nonconformity, if you're adding to your house and making it non-conforming, we would need to know that. I mean, probably, I think you mentioned, I thought you said it was something like 20 feet,
It's
but,
about 22 feet. So I went and measured from the existing house
right,
out to the road is 22 feet.
right. And I think 15 feet is your front yard setback requirement. But we should have a documentation of that, like get your deed or real property tax map that would show and make a copy of that.
Out to the road, you're saying to the limit of the road, the pavement.
Oh, yes.
You didn't
the
go-
Pavement all the way to that building.
Okay, you didn't go to the center of the road, because a lot of times, a lot of times they're
No.
right
it's
away is
right
center of the
to Where
road.
I saw that crease between grass and road. I'm sure there's a couple inches in there.
Yeah.
But roughly about 22 feet.
Yeah, this helps a lot. Are you looking at it online?
Yeah.
This helps a lot. to see what it-
Yes.
It looks like the sidewalk is about 4 feet wide. There's a 1 foot right now pushed back on the fence to let the snow blowers and stuff go by. The village asked for that. And then from there is an additional however many feet. So from the road to the sidewalk is 10 feet, 8 inches. The sidewalk itself is 4 feet. And then from there, all the way up, a total of 22 feet.
That gives them the 7 and it's within 15.
What's that?
And plus minus the 7 is the 15.
I think we should have a copy of, so we have the,
I believe it's in there.
yeah.
You're gonna need to re-roof this with different shingles.
Same jingle. Same.
Use the same shingles or are you gonna?
No. The ones on there right now are kind of actually doesn't
The
matter.
purpose of the question
Yes.
was, can you find the same shingles that are on that?
Oh, yes, yeah. The ones I have right now, we just re-roofed the house in the last 2 years. So yes, we have architectural shingles. It used to be T-lock architectural, and then the ones on the office that I'm extending out right now were actually not architectural. They were like sheets.
They're the cheapest possible thing.
That was. Thank you.
Sorry,
Exactly
I have
what they-
opinions about
My house is gonna say.
I told him you would know. You're probably. Go to the bank.
Same thing with, I think the side exteriors are just sheets. They're not the actual.
Wait.
I wasn't supposed to talk.
Thank
Madam Chair, do we need any?
Yeah, okay,
Get that to you. I'm off tomorrow because I decided.
Okay.
this was enough.
thank you.
I'll bring it to you.
Okay, we need to complete the environmental review. And there were just a couple minor additions, edits to your application. Doesn't need the zoning board of appeals, provided you've got the front yard setback. And I just made a couple changes and I'll get that to the clerk, mainly Seaway Trails, Scenic Byway. But with regard to the National Register District, considering the degree of impact, I'd say it seems reasonable to say that there would be no or small impact on historic resources here. But I'd like to make a motion that we determine there is no significant adverse impact on the environment for this. Thank you, Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we need to have a public hearing. I'd like to open the hearing. Any comment? Yeah. We got that on the schedule.
Everybody left.
But, yeah.
It'd be great for them to have a uniform roof and no ice dams this winter.
Yeah.
And a usable garage
And a
storage
usable-
space that isn't that thing. It's built well, but it's just totally useless for us.
Oh, that's a deal breaker.
Okay, with no further comment, we'll close the hearing. And the dormer, if the jury's still out on whether that's staying or going, right?
Actually, when I did the generated, I did put that on there. I'm not 100% certain. I would like light in there. I am planning on having windows in, and I think I gave you an example of the garage door with windows in it to have some ambient light in there. The dormer, to be honest with you, I looked at it and I thought it actually kind of looks better and more uniform without, because it's not that long of a structure. But again, up to the board.
I thought there was some note on your application that something about construction and cost made a difference and whether that
Yeah,
balance.
obviously, yeah.
Is the dormer open into the house?
Right now, there's a dormer, and that is in, closet. What do you call that?
We have a little tiny room upstairs that you like step down into. It's very, very small. But there, at some point in time, must have been something, there's a door that's been covered over with outside shingles. So you could have opened it and like walked out. I don't know if there was a porch out there or something, but it's.
I think it would have been like a past garage.
Well,
but now it's blocked in, so it's all in.
So it's basically a useless dormer to you.
Right.
So are
I'm
you-
gonna keep that one in that room, but the second dormer, I was looking at.
Where's the second dormer?
So I didn't put it on there because the first dormer is there.
Oh, this one?
Right, that's the one that goes into her room. And then I didn't put one there because I was looking to see, does it look good without one? Does it look good with it? And I talked to Vicky and Dad, our neighbors who's looking at it every day, and they seem to like this one too, so.
So the discussion is not whether that goes or
Oh, that
stays.
stays. That's the
Okay.
original, yeah.
Okay,
I was saying, should we build another?
I get it. I get it.
To balance the look on the outside.
Yeah, just thought, what would it look like? That's all.
I don't know. Anybody have any input on giving that dormer a companion? Symmetry? Would that be like where that post just be,
So
it's the
that
power
post
pole?
Is the power pole that actually will be moved out. So the actual electrician said that we'll contact National Grid, that will be moved closer to the outside of the building.
Meaning to the end?
Yeah, either that end or in front, whichever one National Grid approves.
So where would your second dormer maybe be?
It would potentially be right.
Right where
there
that thing,
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, if.
And what did your neighbors say? They like one dormer?
Vicky said they like that one, so.
Only one.
So you might have one. You might try to, you might try to.
Maybe, yeah, if it helps with light and if it looks nice, but you know, again, right now, the second floor is just storage, so.
Do you have to have a county inspection?
That's what dictate at what
Okay.
stage in the building you should have inspected.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because the county in the past has tripped over adding a dormer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because you're cutting into the roof. Okay, for example, I had to get an architect to certify it.
Well, there goes that plan.
You're building it on the new,
I'm sorry?
being built on the new part of the structure, correct?
Just the new part of the structures, yes, not the old.
So it'd be,
Doesn't matter.
yeah, they might have to look at it.
Yeah.
Just make sure.
Dormer first.
Didn't hear anything.
It might look nice. It looks-
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be offset because again, this is the new portion and much smaller than the existing. So it's going to be, we would try to make it uniform and
Symmetrical.
symmetrical, yes.
I like symmetry.
But then, you know, obviously,
Costly,
is there
yeah.
light? Is it gonna be fine? It's storage. I take her, I have standard paddle boards. That's why I need storage.
Okay, so, same roofing material. We see the garage door, window. Same colors. Only thing I'm looking for is a deed or property tax map that verifies where the front of the house is, basically the dimension to the street.
I sent the number for the property. I don't know if that's the same exact.
I don't want to have to go find that.
It's, I didn't see anything.
Probably on your deed or something, just, I could find it if you need help. Okay, anything else about this? Any questions?
Move to be a complete application.
Second.
Thank you, Dick and Merle. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? But with
The zoning, with
the confirmation of the distance.
Right.
And the reason for that, I'd hate to see you build it and then have it not comply. And that would be a costly error if you would have to get an area variance, and if that wasn't granted, oh boy, what a mess. So it's a lot easier just to get that and be sure. Okay. Well, what do you think?
Can we make a motion to approve this pending or?
With the condition that
That it does comply with so that he's not having to wait a month.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application as submitted with the caveat that, I don't know if caveat's the right word.
The condition,
With the condition that the
property.
Provide the survey.
a copy of the survey or the deed or the tax map that shows where your structure is in relation to your property line with
and
that.
it conforms with that.
Yeah,
And that is, you said.
it's 15 feet.
And if it isn't, then.
Then we need to, you would be referred to the zoning board of appeals requesting an area variance.
So that was a motion.
I second.
Oh,
Thank you, Craig and Merle. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Great. Nice to meet you. Look forward to seeing the improvements or changes.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry, are you not done?
No, we are. I was just making sure we are.
Drive your new car over? You drive your new car over?
It's a Lego. It's not a real.
I have to notice. I don't know what's going on in the neighborhood.
It's James Bond's Aston Martin.
This is how.
Oh, is it an Aston Martin? Sport car?
Whoa,
what is it?
thank you for coming.
What is it?
It's a Lego. What's a Lego?
You know what Legos are?
Yeah, I know what Legos are. Yeah.
That's great.
So it looks like that?
Yeah.
Kelly, I thought you were here just out of interest the whole time. I didn't know. Like, oh, but you're waiting for Jane Fee's application
Oh, no.
or downtown
I was very interested to.
historic preservation.
Yeah, I was certainly here with Tobin. We worked out a little bit of design, but I did it.
Yeah.
I look good in it too.
I bet.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was my son-in-law calling. I gotta call him back.
Thank you.
Can we move to adjourn?
Yes.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry about my son-in-law.
Good job. Good job, Madam Chair.
I don't own a business, so I'm sort of